Flying kings. Underground airports. Carrots changed by politics. The Netherlands is bursting with true stories that are stranger and cooler than fiction. In this no-nonsense travel documentary, we uncover 16 unbelievable yet completely real facts that prove this country is one of a kind. Forget the cliches. This is the Netherlands you didn't learn about in school. Watch it, and you'll never look at this flat little nation the same way again. Fact 1. Living below the sea. In the Netherlands, nature doesn't get the final say. The Dutch do. Over 1/4 of the country lies below sea level. That's not an exaggeration. Cities like Amsterdam and Rotterdam, and even the nation's main airport, Schiphol, sit in land that would be submerged without human intervention. Schiphol itself is located about 15 feet below sea level. The lowest point in the country, Zuidplaspolder, dips around 23 feet beneath it. So how is it all still above water? Centuries of engineering brilliance. The Dutch created polders, land reclaimed from lakes or seas using dikes and pumps. These aren't old relics. They're working every hour to keep millions of people dry. The Netherlands also has thousands of miles of canals and water channels, all meticulously managed. For travelers, this means you're walking through a miracle of modern and historical engineering. And if you're moving there, you'll learn quickly that the Dutch don't just live with water, they command it. Quite literally, they've turned the sea into real estate. Fact 2. Everyone speaks English. Imagine landing in a country where almost everyone speaks your language, fluently. That's the Netherlands. An incredible 9 out of 10 Dutch people speak English as a second language. Many speak it almost as well as native speakers. It's not just limited to young folks or big cities either. You'll hear English in rural towns, small shops, even government offices. The Dutch education system places a huge emphasis on language skills. Kids start learning English around the age of 10 and often go on to study German or French as well. This multilingual culture isn't just impressive, it's practical. For travelers, it means no awkward pointing or Google Translate panic. For expats, it makes settling in infinitely smoother. You can order food, make friends, or even work without knowing Dutch. Of course, learning the local language is always a sign of respect, but in the Netherlands, it's not a barrier to entry. It's a country where you feel welcome right away because they've already met you halfway, in your own language. Fact 3. A multicultural mosaic. The Netherlands may be small, but it feels like a miniature world. Around 1 in every 5 residents was born outside the country. That's over 3 million people with roots from Suriname, Turkey, Morocco, Indonesia, the Caribbean, and far beyond. In cities like Amsterdam and Rotterdam, nearly 1/3 of the population is of non-Western origin. This isn't by accident. It's history. Centuries of global trade, colonial ties, and immigration policies built a truly international society. Walk through a Dutch market and you'll hear 5 languages, smell Indonesian satay, Moroccan spices, and maybe even Caribbean jerk chicken. You'll see mosques, synagogues, churches, and temples, sometimes on the same street. The Dutch pride themselves on tolerance, even if the conversations around integration can be complex. For travelers, this diversity translates into vibrant neighborhoods and world-class food. For expats, it means you won't feel like the only foreigner in the room. In the Netherlands, the world isn't just welcomed, it's already moved in and made itself at home. Fact 4. Kingdom of bicycles. The Netherlands isn't just bike-friendly, it's bike-obsessed. With over 22 million bicycles for a population of 17 million, bikes outnumber people. That's not a metaphor, it's reality. Cyclists rule the road, and they do it in style. Suits, dresses, high heels, you name it. The terrain helps, flat, open, and compact. But it's the infrastructure that seals the deal. There are over 12,000 miles of dedicated bike lanes across the country. Cities like Utrecht even have 3-story bicycle parking garages that can hold over 12,000 bikes. Riding a bike here isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. You'll see toddlers strapped into cargo bikes, elderly couples pedaling side by side, and businessmen riding to meetings. For travelers, renting a bike is the best way to experience a Dutch city. For expats, biking becomes second nature. But beware, with over 100,000 bikes stolen every year, a good lock isn't optional. In the Netherlands, cycling is freedom, fitness, and national identity all rolled into one. Fact 5. Giants of Europe. Step into a Dutch crowd, and suddenly the world feels taller. That's because the Dutch are officially the tallest people on Earth. On average, Dutch men stand about 6 feet tall, and women come in just under 5 feet 7 inches. It's not just a fluke of genetics. Experts believe it's a mix of factors: excellent healthcare, a diet packed with dairy, and a culture that values outdoor activity from a young age. Milk, cheese, and yogurt are staples of the Dutch kitchen. And yes, kids here are measured and charted meticulously. Even clothing stores reflect this. Longer pant legs, higher shelves, and bikes with frames that look supersized. For travelers, it's a quirky detail. For expats, it might mean adjusting your wardrobe and your neck. Looking up is part of life in the Netherlands, but it's also symbolic. In a country that's physically low, the people still manage to rise above, quite literally. Fact 6. Tiny country farming giant. It might surprise you, but this little lowland nation is an agricultural superpower. The Netherlands is the second largest exporter of agricultural goods in the entire world, second only to the United States, which is over 270 times bigger. That's not magic. It's pure innovation. Dutch farmers have turned technology into art, using hydroponics, climate control, and LED-lit greenhouses to grow massive yields with minimal space. Picture this. Nearly 59,000 acres of farmland are covered in greenhouse glass. That's bigger than Washington, D.C. And they do it while using 90% less water than traditional farming. You'll see endless rows of tomatoes, cucumbers, bell peppers, and flowers, especially tulips. It's not just food either. The Netherlands produces about 80% of the world's flower bulbs. For travelers, this means fresh produce and stunning flower fields. For expats, it means you're living in a country that feeds millions while standing below sea level. That's not just impressive, that's Dutch genius at work. Fact 7. Licorice addiction. In most countries, black licorice is a niche treat. In the Netherlands, it's practically a national obsession. The Dutch consume over 70 million pounds of licorice every year. That's more than 4 pounds per person. And we're not talking about sweet and chewy candy here. Dutch licorice, or drop, comes in a wild variety of flavors. Salty, double salty, ammonium chloride, hard, soft, and everything in between. Walk into any supermarket, and you'll see entire aisles filled with licorice in every shape imaginable. Coins, cats, diamonds, and even car tires. Many Dutch people carry a bag in their pocket like it's a snack and a cure-all. Some believe it soothes the stomach or calms a sore throat, though doctors warn that too much can spike your blood pressure. For travelers, it's a rite of passage. Most foreigners find Dutch licorice shocking at best and terrifying at worst. But if you want to blend in, pop a salty coin into your mouth and smile, or at least try to. In the Netherlands, loving licorice is practically a personality trait. Fact 8. Chocolate for breakfast. Only in the Netherlands can you eat chocolate sprinkles for breakfast and be considered a responsible adult. The Dutch love hagelslag, tiny chocolate sprinkles, and they eat them on buttered bread first thing in the morning. This isn't just a childhood treat. Adults enjoy it too, often with a cup of coffee and zero irony. Every supermarket has entire shelves devoted to different sprinkle varieties. Milk chocolate, dark, white, fruit-flavored, even anise. The country consumes over 30 million pounds of hagelslag every year. That's not a typo. Dutch parents often serve it to their kids, and many adults stick with the habit for life. It's quick, cheap, and oddly comforting. For travelers, it's one of the most unexpected breakfast customs you'll find in Europe. For expats, it's a charming slice of local culture that says, why not start your day with a smile and sugar? In a world full of rules, the Dutch give you permission to be a little sweet at sunrise. Fact 9. The truth about Dutch weed culture. Everyone's heard of Amsterdam's cannabis coffee shops. But here's the twist. Weed isn't legal in the Netherlands. It's just tolerated. Under Dutch law, cannabis is technically illegal. But authorities use a policy called gedoogbeleid, meaning they choose not to enforce the ban under specific conditions. Licensed coffee shops can sell up to about 1/5 of an ounce per customer per day, as long as they don't sell to minors, advertise, or stockpile too much. Growing it at home? That's still illegal beyond 5 small plants, and even that can get you in trouble. The supply chain behind those shops? Also technically illegal. It's a legal gray zone wrapped in a practical mindset. For travelers, this means you can enjoy a joint in a coffee shop, but not on the street or in parks. For expats, it's important to know that cannabis use is not as casual as the stereotypes suggest. The Dutch approach isn't about partying. It's about managing behavior with structure. In a country built on controlling water, even freedom comes with a dam. Fact 10. First to say I do to equality. The Netherlands didn't just dip its toes into social progress, it dove in head first. On April 1, 2001, it became the first country in the world to legalize same-sex marriage. At midnight, in a ceremony broadcast across the globe, Amsterdam's mayor personally married 4 gay couples. It wasn't just symbolic, it was law. Since then, tens of thousands of same-sex couples have tied the knot, with the exact same rights and recognition as heterosexual pairs. For the Dutch, this wasn't a radical move. It was a logical one, a reflection of their deeply rooted values of personal freedom, tolerance, and legal equality. For travelers, especially those in the LGBTQ+ community, the Netherlands is a safe, open, and affirming destination. Rainbow flags hang proudly in windows, and pride events, especially Amsterdam's floating canal parade, are legendary. For expats, it means your relationship is respected not just socially, but legally. In the Netherlands, love isn't controversial, it's simply celebrated. Fact 11, born at home, the Dutch way. In most modern countries, giving birth at home is rare. In the Netherlands, it's part of the norm. Around 1 in 8 Dutch babies is still born at home, in the same bed where the parents sleep. That's one of the highest home birth rates in the developed world. Back in the 1990s, nearly 1 in 3 babies was born this way. The reason? The Dutch trust nature. They also trust their network of professional midwives who guide the process safely and calmly. But it doesn't stop at birth. New mothers are offered a special service called kraamzorg, a maternity nurse who comes to your house for up to 8 days. She helps with baby care, cleaning, cooking, and even checks your mental health. It's all covered by insurance. For expats, it may feel wildly different at first. But in the Netherlands, childbirth is seen as something natural, not a medical emergency. It's calm, homey, and deeply personal, just like the Dutch themselves. Fact 12. The birthday circle ritual. Dutch birthdays aren't wild parties. They're polite, circular gatherings with rules. When you walk into a birthday celebration, don't just greet the guest of honor. You're expected to congratulate everyone in the room. Family, friends, even the neighbor's cousin. Gefeliciteerd! Echoes from wall to wall. Then comes the famous circle party. Guests sit in a tidy circle, sipping coffee, eating 1 slice of cake, and making small talk. There's no music, no dancing, and certainly no wild toasts. It's cozy, structured, and unmistakably Dutch. Some expats jokingly call it the circle of death, but locals see it as gezellig, a word that means warm, intimate, and socially pleasant. It's not about flash, it's about connection. For travelers lucky enough to be invited, it's a peek into real Dutch life. For expats, it's an odd but lovable ritual that says, birthdays aren't about being loud, they're about being together, preferably in a neat circle. Fact 13, the orange obsession. No other country wears its national color with more pride or visibility than the Netherlands. That bright blazing orange isn't on the flag, yet it's everywhere. The reason? It all goes back to the Dutch royal family, the House of Orange-Nassau. William of Orange, the father of Dutch independence, gave his name and his color to the nation. Ever since, orange has symbolized unity and pride. On King's Day in April, the streets turn into oceans of orange. People wear orange shirts, pants, wigs, glasses, even pets get dressed up. But it goes deeper. Legend says Dutch farmers in the 17th century cultivated the first orange carrots as a tribute to the royal family. Before that, carrots came in purple, white, and yellow. Whether myth or truth, the orange carrot became a global standard. For travelers, this vibrant color marks every major event, from football matches to national holidays. For expats, it's a signal. When the Dutch wear orange, they mean business. Fun business. Fact 14, the king who flies. Most kings wave from balconies. The Dutch king? He flies passenger jets, really. King Willem-Alexander has held a pilot's license for decades and secretly worked as a co-pilot on KLM City Hopper flights, even after becoming king in 2013. For over 20 years, he flew short European routes twice a month, often greeting passengers over the intercom without revealing who he was. Most people never realized the guy flying the plane was actual royalty. He called flying his way to completely switch off from royal duties. Even now, he occasionally dons a uniform and quietly returns to the cockpit. It's the kind of thing only the Dutch would accept. A king with calluses on his hands and dirt under his nails. For travelers, you may have unknowingly flown with royalty. For expats, it's another reminder that Dutch society values humility, practicality, and personal freedom, even if you're wearing a crown. In the Netherlands, a king isn't above the clouds. Sometimes he flies you through them. Fact 15. Skating into glory. When winter comes, the Dutch don't just shiver, they glide. Speed skating isn't just a sport here, it's practically a national religion. The Netherlands dominates Olympic speed skating like no other country. As of the 2022 Winter Games, Dutch athletes have won over 120 Olympic medals in the sport, far more than any other nation. Orange suits flood the ice, sweeping entire podiums in event after event. But this obsession isn't new. Skating on frozen canals has been a Dutch tradition for centuries. Children learn to skate soon after they walk, and whole families hit the ice when the canals freeze. Everyone dreams of the legendary Elfstedentocht, an 11-city, 200-kilometer skating tour held only when the ice is thick enough. It hasn't happened since 1997, but people still hope every winter. For travelers, skating in the Netherlands is more than a photo op. It's a cultural heartbeat. For expats, it's a chance to join the locals not just in sport, but in spirit. Here, ice isn't cold, it's home. Living in the Netherlands, costs, jobs, and daily life. Life in the Netherlands is not cheap, but it's stable, well-organized, and packed with value. If you're planning to settle here, be ready for a cost of living that's comparable to major cities in the United States. Rent is the biggest monthly expense. A one-bedroom apartment in a Dutch city center can cost between $1,200 and $1,800 per month. Outside the center, you might find something closer to $900. Utilities usually add another $150 to $200, depending on season and usage. Groceries are reasonably priced, with a weekly shop for one person costing about $60 to $80. Eating out? A meal at a mid-range restaurant runs about $25, and a cappuccino costs around $3 to $4. For healthcare, the Dutch system is excellent but mandatory. Everyone must have basic health insurance, which typically costs between $100 and $150 per month. This covers doctor visits, hospital care, and basic medication, though dental and vision care may cost extra. Looking for work? The Netherlands offers good opportunities, especially in tech, logistics, engineering, and finance. English-speaking jobs are common in larger cities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and Utrecht. The minimum wage is around $2,000 per month before tax, while comfortable middle-class living usually starts above $3,500. As for settling, citizens from the EU can move freely, while others will need a residence permit or long-stay visa. The Dutch are famously organized, but expect lots of paperwork. And register at your local gemeente, municipality, as soon as possible. Once settled, the quality of life is high. Public transport is reliable, education is top tier, and even on a rainy day, the country runs like clockwork. For expats, it's a lifestyle built on order, comfort, and deep-rooted practicality. If you enjoyed discovering these surprising facts about the Netherlands, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe to Andy Explores the World for more eye-opening journeys to places you never knew you needed to know about. Got a favorite Dutch fact or experience of your own? Drop it in the comments. We read them all. And as always, thanks for watching and see you in the next adventure.